beautiful, hon.
We were here in 2024. That's okay.
Oh, yeah, probably like 5 big piles would fill up a bag. I think we could fill up 2 bags here. Maybe just that 3rd bag will. Some lichen. We're back out in the garden. You can tell behind me that a lot has happened in here. We just got back from picking up some leaves. We're going to be using those later. And we also hope to get those potatoes harvested over there in the back. We spent a good amount of time taking everything down in here yesterday, doing lots of work, and we also weeded. That wasn't super fun, but it wasn't really that bad either. Eric and I really want to take care of the weeds this year. We want to make sure we address them. In the past, we kind of let them get out of hand. And when you do that, there's consequences for it in the following year. So I feel like the effort we spent doing it this time is really going to pay off in the future. The beds look beautiful. They perform beautiful this year. We really liked having the raised beds. The most common weed that we had was grass. So that's not the worst weed to have, but it does spread by its roots. We have all of the greens and everything that we took down. That's all over in our compost pile outside of the garden. We found a few little various vegetables, some little hidden kohlrabis and such that we brought inside to eat. But for the most part, things are really shutting down in here. The garden is going to bed for the winter. So these are some of the tools that we like. I personally really like this tool, and I don't know the name of it, and I don't know where we got it, but you can see how it works. You kind of stab the soil and loosen it up. This works really well for me if I'm trying to break up a big grass root. Not break it up, but get the whole root out of there since it does spread by the roots. And Eric really liked this one, so pretty classic shovel. This is called Garden Guru. We haven't used this much. I think it would be more helpful for our hard ground. We do plan to weed the entire garden, not just the beds, but I don't know if we're gonna get to that this year. That may be like a next year's type project. Eric's actually been keeping up with the weeds throughout the season. I wanna show you guys the fruit trees in the back. He got those done yesterday, and I'm pretty impressed with how much they grew this year. These are our 6 fruit trees. We actually have 2 more that we pulled from our other property, but I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna keep them. We'll see. They just seem like there wasn't really space for them, at least that last one. They look really good though. These other first guys that we planted earlier in the spring, if you remember, they were like little sticks. I think they look pretty good now. They're all bushy. The crabapple trees look the best. They're starting to lose their leaves. The little wells that we had worked awesome for them. We're still in the midst of trying to figure out how we're gonna protect them from voles because they're so small and they have their branches low down. We don't really know how to go about it. I think I'm actually gonna have to come in here in the winter and just kind of keep them, I don't know, snowish free. I mean, we want a little layer on there, of course, for some mulch, and we'll see how they do. There's no predicting the future. I'm just hopeful that we will have some fruit here in a few years. We got all of these smaller perimeter beds that we have around half of the garden, except for this one. It looks like it got forgotten. So I'm gonna try to get it real quick. And the soil is sufficiently frozen now, which is why we wanted to get this done yesterday. It was 17 degrees, I believe. So that's pretty chilly. These are some perennial plants that we brought with us from the old property. They seem to be doing pretty good. I'm hopeful that they will overwinter. So what I did for each bed, some of them were just annual flowers. I just cut those all down. We leave the roots in the ground to break down. Others, if I thought there was a chance they may overwinter, I left the actual like foliage and the plant. That way it can do what it's doing and there's a chance that it will survive. Really don't know what's gonna survive in this climate. I need to get this weeded, but then we can start on the potatoes. From the other property. Because it was so cold these last few nights, Eric and I did not want to risk anything. We've done that before. And we should have already been out here and harvested these guys, but life has happened and they just have not gotten harvested. So we have 2 layers of this fleece on it, and we also put blankets because we didn't know how cold it was going to be. Generally, if it says like 32 degrees, it actually ended up being 24 that night or the next morning, right? And then it said 24 degrees last night, but it was 17 this morning. So you can see that it's colder than it's predicted. These are definitely done growing at this point. Somehow this is able to keep it nice enough under there. It actually feels moist and warm. I don't know at what point this wouldn't work anymore. Everything's pretty much dead at this point. I think a week ago there was still some greenery on them a little lower down. They were definitely knocked back by the frost a few times, but they were still growing. Potatoes are a longer season crop. We started these out here May. I think we started them in May. I honestly can't remember. We did 2 full beds. That's the most potatoes we've ever grown. It was something like 80 seed potatoes, which is just wild. They grew beautifully. In general, we don't have an issue growing potatoes, but these really were truly stunning in the summer months. I watered them a lot. I made sure to do that, and I also put some liquid phosphorus on them during the growing season. I've never done that before. I usually just fertilize with that dry bone meal. They produced flowers. They were big. Eric and I only hilled them 1 time just because they are in a raised bed. It was a little bit tricky. So the plan is to get in here and just start digging things up and show you the varieties as we come along them that we planted.
Oh, is that a potato? Right there.
Yeah, it's a potato.
We're already finding potatoes.
That's magic molly.
See if I can find any. Here's one right here, right next to a potato.
This is not magic molly, I don't think.
You ready? First potato is GBB times 3. So 1, 2, 3.
German butterball.
German butterball times 3. But be careful because I wiped it and it almost erased it.
Oh gosh, let's not do that.
So don't wipe them.
We're on track.
We know what we're doing. Okay, you want to put
times
German
6
butterball in mine?
Grassweed, right?
Look at that.
Yeah, we don't usually dig them up like this. This is cool.
Oh, we're getting a lot of potatoes.
I don't know if it's called a mother.
That's the seed potato, yeah. That's where it all started.
That's where it all started. Wow! Magic Molly's over here? Oh
Okay.
yeah, I got more in here too.
We got a lot of potatoes.
Check that out.
That's a nice one.
German butterball grows exceptionally well. It usually almost always looks like this little oval shape. And it's got like a gold skin, like a lighter type flesh, a yellow flesh I'd say.
Yeah, yellowish white.
It's a really good all-around potato. Okay, on to Magic Molly. She's over here. Let me know if you're gonna need the toe.
Yeah, that's a good
for 3 potatoes?
for
What do you
3
think?
potatoes.
Yeah, but they're not coming up like the way. Magic Molly is purple on the outside. It's actually a very shimmery, iridescent, very gorgeous purple, and it's like a galaxy on the inside, a deep purple as well. Side note, Eric and I found quite a bit of mushrooms this year in the soil, and I think that's when we add older, like aged manure that's a little more fungal dominated. They say that you want like more bacteria dominated for growing vegetables, whereas this would be more useful for growing like fruit trees. It's honestly a pretty good sign. I like to find mushrooms in the soil.
That's a beaut. That's a good one.
This funny too, huh?
Okay, let's put these aside. We can eat them later.
They did kind of spread to the side. Look at that. Looks like a tater, but it's not. That one is. But look, I just found one down there.
Nice.
You did too.
That was right there on that plant.
There's 2 right there.
All these potatoes that we've planted, they're not only just completely different with the way they look and the way they taste, but we've noticed over the years we've grown potatoes, they're different in how much they produce. So Ariel and I, we always plant a full seed potato. Magic Molly, which is this purple one right here, we planted 5 full potatoes, and this is a fingerling type potato. Let's see how much we got in weight. We're gonna subtract the weight of the bucket, which is 2 pounds. I'm at 9.5 pounds, so 7.5 pounds of potatoes from 5 potatoes. The German butterball, we only planted 3 of these, and that's this nice gold one right here. Let's see how much we got off that one. What was that, 11.5 pounds?
Yeah, so over 9?
So you gotta subtract 2 pounds. Well, what did it say, 11.5?
11.5.
So 9.5 pounds. We planted less potatoes of the German butterball, and we got more of a product at the end. We got more purples.
So he planted 6.
So we planted 6.
So he's got to make the weigh-in because he's.
Yeah, we didn't do the purple potato justice. We got to weigh one more. Reweigh. We found 1 more of the purple potato. So now we're up to 6 potatoes we planted. Let's see how much we got.
More than the other one, but a little over 12.
So 12 pounds minus 2, so 10 pounds. But we only planted half of that other one.
They did.
So the German butterball produced a lot more. Next one up is French fingerling. Look at this nice potato. Look at those. That's a fingerling potato. Look how big it is. Look at those. For a fingerling?
She gets big.
Yeah, these are huge potatoes.
Remind me again, that was 3?
3.
I'd expect that from 2.
We've done better.
This is French fingerling, and it has yellow flesh with some like pink in there. It's a really pretty potato if you cut it open.
Tell you right now, this other one is a huge producer.
Mares?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of potatoes off her.
You have about 20 potatoes from one potato.
That's a pretty good.
That's excellent.
Yield.
10 is about what they say, but we always get more than 10. Right there, right at the surface. Look at that. Look at that.
Well, you can put them in the bucket.
Oh, okay. Look at that. You see this?
I know, it's a good potato.
Oh my gosh. Dang it. Are you kidding me? This is all from one spud?
That's what I'm saying. It's a really good plant.
So that's the last one.
Yeah, should be. Are they having a fly off today, these chickens?
They're youngins. Those little youngins, they do that kind of stuff. They get all real jazzed. And okay, I'm going to stop here because I've met my...
Yep, there she is. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I want to eat this one right now.
Now, how many did we plant these? 7?
7.
That's my coriza.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, see it? See it's white? Magic Myrna.
Oh my gosh, they're in there. Oh my gosh, look at all those.
That tells me they're cramped.
They're smaller, but they had a lot more. Like a lot of number, you know?
Quantity?
Yeah, there you go.
This is an interesting Magic Myrna. Usually they're a lot more pink with a little bit less of those that golden color. And we absolutely love this potato. It tastes like you already put butter on it is the best way I can really describe it. Very fluffy, very flavorful. Let's try and get it open for you guys. It's got a real golden color on the inside. So like nice yellow flesh in there. Absolutely delicious. We grew 7 of those. We'll do a final weigh-in at the end. We still have a lot more to harvest.
On to the next variety. This is called Sierra Russet. Is this the only russet potato we usually grow?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not a huge fan of russet potatoes. We don't bake a lot of potatoes in the oven, but this one seems to do pretty good for us. Look at that. That's like a perfect size eating potato for one. A little sour cream or something on there. That's nice.
So these are just big. They just produce a few big ones, right? That's what I would expect from a russet potato.
Oh,
That looks like a russet potato.
Nice looking rock. I'll tell you what, that one probably did the worst out of all of them.
Russet potatoes don't put off that much per plant.
Yeah, but they weren't even like massive or anything. It just didn't do that well.
You almost get like 5, 6. These only need a small bucket too, but it looks like we've already filled up our small bucket. Ever gotten that much off one Fiesta?
Yeah, that was
like an exceptional.
exceptionally good.
We grew 8 Fiesta potatoes. That is because historically they don't produce that much. So each seed potato will produce maybe like 5 of these. And this is actually a very nice size. We found that some of these over here must have been a little more cramped. They didn't produce as much as we went to that side of the bed. We were getting bigger sized potatoes like this. And we grow them because they're absolutely delicious. I think they are worth having a fiesta about. They're really tasty. Let's cut one open. That was too big of one. Let's go for a smaller guy. The only thing that's cooler than a potato with color on the outside and swirls is a potato with color and swirls on the inside of it. It's looking like we did plant some of our potatoes a little close. I think we kind of knew that, so that definitely is affecting the overall yield. But we're happy. We're jamming. We're almost to the end of this bed. The last variety is Mondak, and it's an improved variety on Yukon Gold. It's pink though. It has like a pink skin to it. I think the inside, the flesh is gold though. So we're gonna start on that one. Good 60 pounds from that bed. I can't do the exact count. That was just kind of like, I was almost not going to order that one, but kind of glad I did.
think we put the tags on this side,
Pretty sure you put them on that side too, don't you?
but we don't know. You like my heavy breathing?
I'm breathing heavy too.
Man, I'm about to throw some of these in the fire tonight and
I
roast
know,
them
it
in
was
some
like-
tin foil.
Let's do it.
With some fish?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were supposed to have like a Asian salad. We can still have that on the side.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. Just got a huge section of this bed dug up, and it was all for this potato right here. And this potato is an unknown variety to us, but we call it the Squirrel Creek potato because it came from a farm in Alaska called Squirrel Creek Farm. And we don't know what kind it is, but we got some potatoes from them last year. It was so delicious that we decided we were gonna save a bunch. And this one we actually planted the most of we've ever planted of a single potato. We planted 14 of these ones. We ended up with like a bucket and a half, 5 gallon and a half, which is pretty good. It's not a huge producer, at least what we just did, but it gives you some nice big potatoes, just like this one.
3. Whoa, let's go for it once.
Whoa. Look at that one, looks like a snowman.
Yeah, that's it. That's the big. That one did really well. I've already dug a lot. So that plant produced like 20, 30 potatoes. Although our system's been working really well, we unfortunately planted 2 potatoes next to each other that look similar enough that we're having a hard time telling them apart. One is a red swirl. I don't know the name. I call it that because it's red and it has some really cool pink markings like swirls on the inside. This other guy is Merlot, and it has a beautiful color when you cut it up. It really does look like wine, I think. I don't know if that's why it was named. And we grew a lot of those. I think we have them separated, but we probably won't really be able to tell until we rinse them or if we cut them open. So that's what it looks like on the inside. Really nice potato, has a really good flavor. Eric's pulling up King Edwards, which is another new variety for us. Yeah, they have pink ones. Look at that, isn't that cool? Look, this is the first one where you can almost see the whole, the way the plant grew.
Oh yeah, this one.
I like
harvest.
Sister
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she did a lot of little guys.
Last 3, we got them done, and the sun is starting to go down, but this is one of our favorites. This is called Huckleberry. That one did pretty good this year. Not a lot from each plant, but each one turned out to be pretty big. And then you've got a fingerling. We didn't really know what this one was. It was just a fingerling potato, and that's kind of what they look like. They're kind of cool for roasting. Another one we really like is called Susitna Gold. It's a local to Alaska one that was developed up here. It doesn't store a very long time, but it's a very good eating potato, and this one did really well for us.
And the grand finale is just under 180 pounds. So I'm getting 178 and a half pounds, and that's not including the weight of the buckets. We subtracted that. Pretty good. I was thinking we'd get more than that, to be honest, but this is a very good amount. I cannot complain at all. A lot of these potatoes did really well. Squirrel Creek did provide us the most potatoes at 31 pounds, probably because we planted the most of that exact variety. And I know it's a little taboo to wash your potatoes, but they were dirty. I wanted to wash them. They're gonna store fine in our crawl space. Because they're wet, we need to get them inside. You know, if it were to freeze, we'd have some problems out here. So we're We're headed to the house. This took longer than we expected. I'm just gonna lay them out in front of the wood stove, let them dry up a little bit, and then we will move them down below to the crawl space. It was a good day in the garden. We will see you back out here tomorrow. Oh yeah, these guys too, fingerlings. They didn't have a bag. 36 degrees. Look, they're all in here, Eric. Poop and feathers.
Oh yeah.
Nitrogen and bone meal.
Do you want the rake or you go with that?
Feather meal. We're getting our bed prepped for planting garlic today. I hoped we would have had it planted at this point, but it arrived a little bit later than we expected. We've chosen this bed right behind me. We have a nice little trough in there as per Eric's idea, and we are going to be putting a few really cool amendments in there. So we have some fish carcasses from earlier this fishing season, and we also have chicken litter, which is the chicken poop itself, nitrogen, and then a bunch of feathers, which is going to be like feather meal. The fish will be like fish bone meal. We do all sorts of things with the fish carcasses, from making dog food to giving them to the chickens to putting them in our compost pile and letting them break down there. But we've never directly put them in a bed, so I'm pretty excited about this. We're going to be putting the fish carcasses down first. We're going to put a little bit of soil back on there, and then we're going to add some of this chicken litter. My cat's going to help. Definitely aged. So when we were down in Valdez, we actually got to pick up a few of these Pacific cod at the processing station, and we went back down there with family and we paid one of the fish processors to process our fish. They do a phenomenal job. But this is the Pacific cod. I know he's got a bunch of dirt on him. Let me show you what I'm talking about though. This is how much meat they get off. They leave your fish beautiful. They do an amazing job.
For only $2 a fish.
For only $2 a fish.
Just bones and the head.
You know, if we know what beds we're using next year, if we think about it real quick, we could probably just put the rest on one of those beds, like a... It's about 40 degrees now, so I brought the garlic out. It was 14 degrees Fahrenheit last night, and I didn't want to risk anything freezing this morning. I also just picked it up this morning from the postal service, and we are trying a lot of different varieties this year. That's because I found some good varieties that I really liked. Music, Polish hardneck, and German white were my three favorites back at our old property. But our garlic did really bad here last winter. It didn't really overwinter at all. I thought I saw some of the little sprouts coming up in the spring, but it just seemed like they all kind of disappeared. I kid you not, only like 6 bulbs grew. So it did absolutely horrible. Usually we plant a lot of garlic and we get a pretty good harvest. There's always some losses because it's a cold climate. This is an even colder climate than where we used to live. Hardneck can grow here, and that's kind of why I want to try a whole set of new varieties, just again to figure out where I went wrong and see maybe if there's certain kinds that do better here. We have a lot of different stuff here. Altogether, it is 18 pounds. This is the most we've ever planted. We love garlic, so when we harvest a lot, we eat a lot and we use it. I would love to grow so much that I had my next supply for the year rather than having to purchase it every year as seed garlic. And although we've had several frosts up to this point, the winter is a little bit late to arrive, so we've really been given a pass here. We're at the tail end of September. We don't have any snow. The ground is just now freezing up, and it's going to stay frozen. The ground beneath me is not even unfrozen today, and it's late afternoon. And that's where I wish I got it planted sooner, probably at least like 2-3 weeks ago. So we'll see how it does this year. I'm really hopeful because I invested a lot in this batch of garlic here. I say we start with music. I really liked your idea.
Can you fillery me in on what we're doing?
That's a cute joke.
Do you want to put small ones like this aside for now?
No, let's try this. Yeah, I guess you're right. 5 does seem a little spaced out, huh?
Every year's a little different when we label our garlic, and we haven't really found the best method, so we're going to do something a little different this year. We're going to take some surveyor's tape and we're going to staple it to the edge of the bed. We're going to put it right here where that garlic ends and the next one begins. And this is music. That's the variety of garlic. I'm going to write music. I'm going to put an arrow that way. And the next one, we'll do the same thing, and we'll see if that works. Can you staple that side for me?
I want to try, it's called Montana. I want to try all these, but brown tempest was supposed to be really good too. Let's maybe have that one there. All right, folks, I ordered too much garlic, so we have to extend into the row next to us, which was the potato row. And this gives us an opportunity to do some experimenting and kind of fertilize the beds differently. The new labeling system seems to be going pretty good, and we're gonna put a little more music right in this section, and then this bed will be done. Eric's working on burying the garlic cloves with dirt. Usually we would plant them pretty deep, like 4+ inches, but you can see I didn't really push them down very deep because we plan to add a lot of soil on top of them.
I think it's in the shop, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're all in the shop too. The garlic is done. We added some additional bone meal. There's a leaf layer of mulch and also some straw on top of that. Took us a lot longer. We still have a lot more to do. We want to add leaves and a new layer of compost to these beds. So that's what we're working on next.
Is it still steaming?
I think you really stab it.
Pretty interesting. We dug down to kind of the center of that compost pile we have over there, which is horse manure and steer manure, and it's still like breaking down and putting off heat on the inside. Our pile over there was steaming a little bit, and this stuff's warm to the touch. What I'm working on next is finishing off these little beds with the windows. We're gonna do a light layer of compost. We're gonna shut them down for the winter, and then I've got some little pieces of scrap OSB plywood that I think I'm gonna kind of put on top of them, just protect the windows a little bit. Okay.
This is our asparagus bed, and it's doing shockingly well, I'd say. I know they're not too impressive. They're really thin right now, but I have faith that they will be harvestable in the future. So all 22 of the plants came up, even though some of them are really, really small. We have a few that are bigger. It's pretty typical for them to only send up one little shoot in their first year. We had a bunch of flowers in here that I think was really helpful this year because it was kind of like not a mulch, but it stopped other weeds from growing. So there was almost no weeds in here that we had to remove. We're going to be doing a pretty thick mulch on it. I think we're gonna use compost. We don't have any leaves left, and maybe we'll do a bunch of straw because I want to try and make sure that it's well cared for and it overwinters. I like the root system you did there.
Oh, that's just a little something for a little character.
Another chilly morning out here today. It was 14 degrees when we woke up, and it's about midday now. Everything's starting to freeze out here, and this is our pile of weeds that we've put some gas on, and we're trying to burn them all. We'll see what happens.
Oh, there's two. He has a friend. Well, it has taken us quite a few days to get everything done out here that we wanted to achieve. There is still a few little various things that we have to do tonight, kind of clean up, but we have done a lot of work out here and it looks awesome. I don't really know how to describe it. It's very peaceful at this time of the year. You know, we've worked a lot to get to that point, and it's just like everything's shut down for now and we don't have to worry about it or think about it. It's kind of just a serene feeling. So yesterday, what I was mainly focusing on was doing some pruning on these plants behind us. This is our perennial section of the garden. The rhubarb's just wiped out because of the frost. The currants are there, the gooseberries are in the back, and then there's haskaps along here with some other plants. Everything did really good so far for its first year. Not all these plants are actually one-year plants. A few of them have overwintered and been with us for a few years. Nothing was really glorious in producing berries, and I did find that I'm trying to kind of learn a little more about the currants and the gooseberries. It seems like the first year growth just kind of flops over. So I have some branches that broke just because of the weight of them or the wind. There's some that are like on the ground kind of trailing, and I don't really know if I need to address that, like if I need to stake them up or train them or anything. A few of them we just put some little bamboo sticks in there and we're trying to tie them and make them a little tougher. Next year the wood's gonna get thicker, so I think that'll help. This is a really good example of one. He's just like, looks like an octopus, and I think he'll get a little stronger as the years go on, but right now it just seems a little flimsy. We weeded these and we added a little clump of compost on top of the holes because there is the fabric cover in both these beds. The raspberries and strawberries are done, and we just mulch them mainly because, well, I mulch the raspberries because it will kind of mat down in the spring and help for weed control. The strawberries, I did it more as like a true mulch. So I think they'll overwinter no problem, but I really don't know. We're gonna find out this winter what happens, or next spring. Near the entrance, we have pots that we need to bring over to the shop, and my hope is that they're going to go in the seed room. I do have quite a bit of them that I'm going to try and overwinter. Probably not going to work for every single plant, but I'm still going to try. So I've got like horseradish, tarragon, rosemary, lavender, some bushes that we weren't able to get planted, and then a whole bunch of little herbs that I was just gonna see if they could grow in the winter and maybe we could have fresh herbs. The plan is to get that all wrapped up tonight so we don't have to come back out here. And I wanted to end on a really important note. This was several videos back that I mentioned we were gonna make some tea with butterfly pea flowers. However, I was misspoken. Several of you pointed out, so thank you, because I didn't even really notice. This year when I planted my peas, I had them all together. Edible peas, non-edible peas, so like the ornamental ones. Amongst the chaos in May, I just like planted everything in one bed. That wasn't really how it was supposed to be. I have sown butterfly peas and sweet peas before, but they've never germinated, so I did not actually know what they really looked like. I just knew that the butterfly pea, it looks a little more like a legume, the seed, and it has a blue flower. So I had mentioned in that video, oh, these have all these cool color flowers. I have like pink and, maroon and white. And it turns out that these were the sweet peas that I wanted to grow. I didn't actually have any success with butterfly peas, so I don't have any examples of that. The pods that they produce are toxic. They're mildly toxic. You have to ingest quite a bit of them, and these didn't even produce any sort of pods. But in general, you wouldn't really want to put these right next to your edible peas. I just lost my mind earlier. We're humans. That happens. Sometimes we say wrong things. But if you did catch that and you're like, what in the heck? Yeah, so butterfly peas only come in that really dark, violet blue color. At least that I'm aware of. And from what I read, it's probably not a problem to use the sweet pea flowers. It would be best to avoid them. We've worked up quite an appetite, so we are going to make dinner. They're all pale on the inside, so I figured that'd be okay, right?
That's what I'm going for, yeah. All right, so to do this, we're gonna need to pull this.
Cool.
Doesn't that look cool?
Yeah. So what we're having tonight is what Eric and I call Kolduny or Kolduny. I don't know how it's exactly pronounced. I think it's truly a Polish dish, but we're making the Russian version of it. And it is like a meat-filled pancake is what I think more. Sometimes you'll see when you look this recipe up, there's more dumpling versions of it. We're going more for that breaded pancake version, and it's predominantly potatoes.
We were down on a fishing trip recently, and there's been this lodge that we've kept wanting to stop at, and we finally drove by when they were open. It's called Tonsina River Lodge.
Yeah, Tonsina River Lodge.
Tonsina River Lodge. We went in there. They make Russian cuisine, and this lady made us some awesome food, and we really wanted to get this one. Unfortunately, she didn't have the ingredients to make it, so we're going to be making it ourselves today. Kind of strange. What we just did was we blended raw potato. So we're starting with raw potato with this dish, which I've never done before.
With a little bit of onion.
And we're gonna crack in. Do you want to do 1 egg or 2?
2. Let's do 2. Some of the dishes don't call for flour. I think we're gonna use just a teeny tiny bit. But it's mainly the potato makes up the batter. And some salt and pepper.
There's not much else in here, right?
No.
Okay, so let's mix this in.
When we were at the restaurant, I had gotten a dish that I can't remember the name of, and it was these little miniature dumplings that were fantastic. And Eric and I have made pierogies multiple times, and I really like pierogies a lot.
Similar to what we're making now. Start with that.
Whatever. There's no wrong or right.
Maybe add more if we need it. From our research, people use a variety of different meats in this recipe. We are going with some ground caribou meat, and it's gonna be pretty simple. We've got some diced onion in here, or I guess minced, it's real fine. We're gonna do a little more salt and pepper, and that'll be it on the filling. Another kind of unique thing that's going on with this dish is I personally would cook this meat, and then I would put it in this little pancake filled thing and then fry it. But the recipe calls for putting in the meat raw. So we're gonna do that, and hopefully it's gonna cook the meat on the inside for us. Put a little more on top.
Not gonna lie, you know what it smells like? Something you'd get at like a fast food restaurant or something.
Kolduny.
A sun?
Well, it's safe to say that we are going to be enjoying ourselves tonight. We have an awesome meal in front of us. But unfortunately, we are going to end this video with a little bit of sad news for you guys.
We had mentioned that Bandit wasn't doing well a few videos back, and sadly, we no longer have Bandit. So we had to make a very tough decision. I think a lot of you guys kind of already suspected that when we mentioned it. Bandit was the exact same age pretty much as Bo, even though we've had Bandit from the time of
7 weeks old.
7 weeks old, so a little tiny scrunchy speckled puppy. There's just, obviously, we've had a lot of experiences with him. We've had him for a very long time, and I don't think we can really kind of say more than just that. You know, it's obviously a tender thing for us. You may have caught me mention before that Bandit had kidney disease. So he's been sick for a while, and they were aging. Both of our dogs were getting up there in their elderly dog years. It was probably about a month ago that Bandit started getting really sick, and he was throwing up a lot more. And Eric and I started to think something was, I don't know, just something didn't seem right. His behavior also changed. And honestly, after Bo passed away, he was kind of a different dog too. I feel like the summer just kept him distracted. And he's a Catahoula, so we kind of we had feelings going into winter with Bandit. It's his least favorite season. He does not want to come out in the cold and do the adventures that we like to do. But it all kind of happened just a lot quicker. I mean, I think we were preparing ourselves, but I feel like it just was expedited. And I wanted to say, on a positive note, I feel like even though he was declining, the last day when we took him to the vet, he had a really nice day. He had like a beautiful day, and he was peaceful. He was at peace. And for some reason to me, that just is a little more reassuring. It just makes me feel better.
Yep, Bandit's last meal was a cheeseburger, plain, from McDonald's. And he ate it. He wasn't eating too much, but
he did accept the patties and the cheese. The bread was a little bit more challenging. Our dogs obviously meant a lot to us, and we buried Bandit right pretty much close to Bo, so they can rest in peace now and here. We thought it would be cool in honor of them if you wanted to leave something about your dogs, or not just dogs, critters, a pet you've had, something that was meaningful in your life that is live now, or maybe you've lost too. Just feel free to leave their name or something you enjoyed about them. We can look through that and cherish our animals and embrace them all together. We'll part ways with showing you guys some footage of Bandit and some pictures when he was younger. He's a very cute dog.
I hope it's Kolduny on the inside. Just cut it in half.
Thank you, hon, for a beautiful meal. You're all suspicious. Oh yeah, it looks like
done for sure.
Honestly, it looks like the broski.
It does like a broski.
Thank you, hon.
want to pet you. People would pay $20 to come over here and just give you a little snuggling, dude, but you don't like people. Hey!
He likes people.
Hey!